Ask Tom on Home Show.
Daniel from Copperfield has a question about a mini split air conditioning system.
He's considering one, Tom, for a very specific reason. Daniel writes to us. He says, I have a 3,250 square foot, 2-story home with 2 AC units. And since we moved in, summer is always tough. He says the west side of the home, the kitchen and the breakfast room and the living room are always hotter than the rest of the house. I've purchased new windows and solar screens and insulation and still no change. A couple of AC companies checked and adjusted it, but no luck. I had a small window unit in the breakfast room for a while, which improved the temperature in those rooms. But my wife says the noise has to go. So, Tom, what's your advice here on looking at getting a mini split?
Okay, well, first off, let's talk about the system in your home. If it's big enough, if you have enough tonnage, whether you have 2 systems, whatever the case may be, then it's going to be a distribution problem. So you always want to get it checked out. Now, if you've had somebody come in and they've tried some things and they can't do it and they're saying, put in a mini split, which would definitely work. Let's face it. You're just going to put a whole bunch of air conditioning in one room. Then, I would consider a second opinion at least to have somebody else come in and take a check and just to make sure you get a second pair of eyes on it. Because I think because you're not having what would sound like a problem of a system being too small. And that, give you an example, I'll get a question in August where the system runs and runs and runs and the house never cools off, the whole house. That means your system's too small in most cases. But in this case, you have one spot. It's usually a distribution problem. So have someone come out. If you need a second opinion, you can call AirTech, one of our certified home show pros. Maybe you know someone that you want to have to come out. Pay them a few bucks if you have to, just for a tune-up, and have them take a look at it. There's the whole idea behind new windows and all the things that you did before was if your air conditioning system is put in right and it's sized properly, and everything is cooling and evenly cooling and heating from room to room within a degree or two where you don't really notice, then all these other things you put on the home just makes the system run less and run less. So your energy bill is smaller. And that's the whole point behind running less and being comfortable. But if you're trying to make windows and stuff even out the house, it doesn't work that way. So let's get the whole thing balanced first. And then for those of you thinking about doing other things, you can do that. And as far as that goes, if you don't have the capacity and you need more capacity during certain times of the year because your systems are too small, then I'm going to tell you a mini split ductless system does work in big open areas just for those few days out of the year, maybe 4 weeks out of the whole year where you really need that extra oomph and you don't want to replace a whole system for $30,000 when it's new and it works well and you don't need it most of the year.
You talk about balancing the system, and I think it needs to be explained because what we're not talking about is going and closing some registers here and there to try to make the air conditioner push it somewhere else. So maybe can you expand on that? Maybe explain what we mean by balancing a system?
It's distribution. Distribution with air ducts. You can have the greatest system in the world. If it doesn't have enough airflow in, say the return airs are too small, if it has a whole bunch of exhaust but not enough air going through it, so it's losing its pressure because it's volume and pressure with ducts. So if they're designed wrong, and it's just like plumbing, and you take a shower and then somebody flushes a toilet. If it's designed wrong, it's going to ruin all the flow, and that's what will happen with air conditioner too. And then you have a third piece of the system, and that's your air intake. And those are all your return airs and the ducts taking it in. So you have to have enough return air with your air where your filters are. You have to have enough intake in, and you have to have the distribution out. And that sometimes means taking air to the intake. I hope I'm not getting too wordy here, but taking it from some other parts of the house because it's not mixing all the air up. So it's a lot involved with an air conditioner, and most of the failure comes from poorly designed or not designed at all, just winging it ductwork installation.
All right. We don't want you to wing it. Tom will help you land that plane. Go and click on the Ask Tom button. Not if you're in a plane by yourself and the pilot is incapacitated. He can't help you then. Call the tower. But go ahead and send us your question.
I don't know. I'd try. My dad was alive. I'd call him. He could talk me down.
All right. But go ahead and visit and click on the Ask Tom button. Google that, by the way. It's a fascinating story about the guy who got caught up. Anyway, send us your questions. We'll answer them. And we'll try to do as good a job as that air traffic controller did that brought the guy down safe and sound. But and we post these videos for you to see on the same place you can find those videos, with our YouTube channel at HomeShowRadio.com's YouTube channel. Of course, we post them and a lot more useful information for you at HomeShowRadio.com.